Hello everybody and welcome to Eco Africa. I am Sandra Twinobio coming to you from Kampala, Uganda. It is good to have you with us again. As always, we have lots of reports from Europe and Africa on things that people are doing to address environmental issues. And with me, of course, is my co-presenter in Nigeria.
Hey Sandra, it's good to see you again. I'm Neo Taigwe and thanks for tuning in. Today's program will take us all over the continent, the beautiful continent of Africa and Europe, as we shed light on some exciting new topics. How one man in Ghana went from poaching to protecting wildlife, and printing and paper making can be done sustainably. We'll find out how. And an eco-friendly business idea for the pandemic era. A young South African banks on bikes. Conservation is defined as the preservation and efficient use of resources. When it comes to nature, we humans can choose to destroy it or nurture it. But as you regular viewers of Eco Africa know, raising awareness is sometimes all it takes to convince a village, a community, or a single person to commit to environmental protection. Here's an example from Ghana.
Jeffrey Efenyo used to come to the forest of Amajofe to kill animals. Now he comes to protect them. Parts of the forest became a refuge and the poacher has become a ranger. He and his colleagues are documenting the traces wildlife leave behind and any destructive human activities. Now that poachers' traps like this one are being removed, there are more antelopes here again.
As we stop killing them, so their number become more. When I see them, they look nice to me because the time when I was killing them, it was night that I was going to bush to kill them. So I see the reflect of the eyes when I put the light on them. So I never see them clear like this as daytime. But when I see them now, they look so nice to me. So I also decide not to kill them anymore.
The documentation he works on enables inferences about which species live in the Oniponi Endangered Species Refuge. Jeffrey Efenyo has been working for the NGO Herb Conservation Ghana for 3 years and receives a regular salary equivalent to €55 a month.
I know there will be more job here, and we will not travel from here far to Accra for job anymore. We will now get job in our area to work, and they will be pay us. If you go Accra, they will pay us.
He's one of 100 local people trained by the NGO as forest rangers. Once a month, he replaces the batteries in the camera traps. The photos will help with the creation of a more detailed census of the forest's inhabitants. The Togo slippery frog, which only lives in this region, is one of several species here that are critically endangered. But its population is growing, much to the delight of the NGO's founder.
When we talk about habitat, it's just basically like where you live. When your house and your neighborhood is destroyed, you cannot survive. And that's exactly what the community was doing to this frog. So this is how we've resolved it. One, we did campaigns to reduce the consumption of this frog as food. And the second thing that we've done so very well, one was to provide boreholes, sources of water for the people so that they don't need to come and bath and wash and use the stream in a manner that destroys the habitat of the forest.
The NGO's team works closely with the people living in the area, offering help and information. Jeffrey Efenyo is a member of what they call the Behavior Change Group. Every week, they visit villages in the area, including Gubajeme, where he lives, to talk about ways to protect the forest and its animals.
We have community engagement, general community awareness. We use religious platforms to appeal to people. We have school awareness programs, and all these things in totality has contributed into garnering support of the people to protect their biodiversity.
The Oniponi Endangered Species Refuge has recently been expanded by an area the size of 16,000 soccer fields, thanks to neighboring landowners and churches. A significant achievement, considering that Ghana has lost 20% of its forest cover over the past 2 decades.
The COVID-19 pandemic might be taking a lot of our attention these days, but we still have to cope with the problems we face due to climate change. Fishing communities on the coast of Africa, in particular, are feeling the impact of rising sea levels, overfishing, and loss of habitat.
That is indeed the case, Nyota. That is why Sierra Leone has launched a $40 million project to build resilience in its coastal communities. We visit the Turtle Islands to see how coastal erosion is affecting people there and also find out how they are fighting back.
Just 2 years ago, it was possible for the people of Nyangai Island to walk along this stretch without getting wet. But the rising sea level has split one of Sierra Leone's Turtle Islands in two. More than half of the island has disappeared. The archipelago was once a bustling fishing community. Now 500 people have been forced to leave in the past few years because their homes were washed away by floods. One of them is Sulaiman Kaba. He has already built 2 houses on the island. Now even the second one is threatened by rising water. Most of his belongings, he says, have already been carried out to sea. This is where I grew up, and I've lived all my life here. It's where I built my house. First, the water washed away the last trees, and then it took my house with it. I built another house, but the water will soon take that one too. Now I have left the island and settled on a larger one nearer to the mainland.
I fight for life, for who transfer, for who settle.
Sulaiman Kaba couldn't afford to resettle the whole family on the mainland immediately. His wife still lives on Nyangai, and his children are with relatives. Starting a new life is expensive. Most people here live on no more than 10 cents a day. Sulaiman Kaba now tries to save some of the money he makes from fishing so one day the rest of his family can join him. Now he lives on Shebo Island, but even there he is afraid of flooding. The threat of rising sea levels is very real. A few years ago, waves broke through the flood wall. In order to restore the damaged seashore, the municipality and the government found international partners to finance this large-scale project. And this time, they want to do it better, says the mayor.
We are worried that if we are not proactive to take certain decisions, to restoring the sea face wall and to also ensuring that we maintain our green mangrove cover, it will be disastrous for our people on Shebo Island.
This new embankment will be almost 2 kilometers long and 1 meter taller than the highest height measured so far. But there is still a long way to go. Many islanders don't yet understand the danger of deforestation. That tree cover would provide the islands a measure of natural resilience and would slow erosion. The authorities have started to involve the local population in measures to protect the climate. Mangroves are being planted. Fisherman Alpha Jallo looks in on the young mangrove plants nearly every day. He says the roots will bind the soil and protect it from being washed away in the rainy season. These mangrove roots will help the ground become stable again. If we don't plant here, the problems will remain, houses will be lost, and people will have to migrate again. The mangroves and the embankment project give him hope, says Alpha Jallo. But he knows that a lot more will need to be done to protect the homes and livelihoods of the thousands of people who still live on Shebo and the smaller Turtle Islands.
2 children, 2 continents, 1 giant problem.
In mijn leven heb ik nog net gezien een beetje rien.
How will climate change affect us and our children? Learn more at dw.com/water.
Animals are not only raised or hunted for their meat, but also for their hides, pelts or skins. The idea of a crocodile handbag may be attractive to some, but such things are being met with increasing criticism. In Europe, vegan alternatives are in big demand. One woman in France even gave up a job in law enforcement after turning the trend into a business idea. Here is this week's Doing Your Bit.
Cécile Vincent designs bags and fashion accessories that are innovative and environmentally friendly. They're funky, punky, and vegan. What looks like leather is actually cotton with a rather unusual coating.
Là, on a du deserto, c'est le...
This material is made of cactus. It's cactus that's been dried and turned into powder.
Et séché et transformé en poudre.
Cécile Vincent lives in Bayeux in northern France. She only recently became a vegan. She used to work in law enforcement with the gendarmerie, but decided she wanted to do something more creative. She says business is good despite everything.
Of course there's the crisis, but I'm in a niche market, vegan and artisanal, and there's still demand for that.
In Europe, demand for vegan fashion has increased more than 10% over 5 years. With her very cool, animal-free bags, Cécile Vincent is in vogue.
And how about you? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
It is pretty obvious to all of us by now that the current pandemic requires us to make a lot of changes in the way we conduct our lives. But it is also giving us a new perspective on how so many things are done, even the simple things. New ideas are emerging that can really benefit people and the environment in these trying times.
That's right, Sandra. In South Africa, a young man came up with a great new business venture. It's eco-friendly and has been well received in his Cape Town neighborhood. Let's see this.
Young men in blue overalls cruising through the streets of Langa. In recent weeks, the residents of the Cape Town suburb have gotten used to this sight. This is the man behind the bicycle armada.
Hi, my name is Colin Mkosi. I'm the founder of Cloudy Deliveries.
Cloudy Deliveries is the name of Colin Nkosi's newly founded business, a delivery service on bikes, the first one in the township. He starts every day with a team meeting. The group discusses goals and customer service practices. The idea for the business stems from his own experience.
You'll find that you'll be busy with something and then you would like to get something from a particular shop or somewhere and you can't go because you're too busy. So I thought it'd be really cool to have someone you can call and do all that for you.
The delivery fleet is heading out. Colin Nkosi doesn't have time to do deliveries anymore. There's too much admin work to get done. Since the 22-year-old started Cloudy Deliveries in January 2020, it has grown steadily. And the coronavirus pandemic boosted the business even more. Today the team has around 20 delivery riders. We follow one of them on his shift. This busy customer has asked 19-year-old Nthokozisi Koza to buy groceries and a cell phone cover for her.
I'm working from home, so it's very convenient for me because I don't have time to actually go to the store. And I have to look after my kid as well.
Nthokozisi Koza is heading to the supermarket. The customers pay 9 Rand per delivery, roughly the equivalent of 50 US cents. The delivery rider gets 3 Rand per delivery. The remaining 6 Rand goes to the company. Youth unemployment in South Africa is extremely high, and the pandemic has only made things worse. Mthokozisi Koza just finished school. He wants to continue his studies one day, but for now, he's happy working as a delivery driver.
I like my job because I do it for fun. I like enjoying or helping people around here, Langa. So it's my passion, actually.
Back at the headquarters, the calls are still coming in. Every cyclist does 4 to 5 deliveries per day. With many people forced to stay at home during the lockdown, Cloudy Deliveries is filling a huge gap in the township. And the township residents like the unusual news service.
We do get feedback from our customers, that they do appreciate, us using bicycles instead of, motorbikes, because they're environmentally friendly, and also it also encourages them to cycle and to keep fit and to be active.
Colin Nkosi's next goal is to expand his fleet and to open his own online shop. To benefit the environment, he plans to use only paper for packaging to set an example that he hopes other companies will follow.
Our way of doing things is reaching its limits, and that's something we often hear nowadays. When it comes to the stewardship of our natural resources, it is certainly the case that a radical rethink is needed. We have to protect Earth's forest, rivers, soil, air, animals, and plants, and that will require coming up with ways of making and using things without creating waste. Here are some impressive examples.
Astrid Budsin spends much of her free time thinking about wild plants. Her motto is, "You protect what you know," and she's on a mission to get people to know the wild plants around them better. That's why she created the game Naturmemo, a memory game that teaches people of all ages about plant life.
I would really like wild plants to be part of our lives again. In fact, I'll even go one step further. I'd also like to see them on our menus, because wild plants contain so many important nutrients that are often missing from the cultured vegetables we eat nowadays.
She made sure Naturmemo was produced to a standard called Cradle to Cradle. But the cradle-to-cradle standard means more than just compostable. It also means that during decomposition, little to nothing is released that could harm the environment. Printhaus Lokai is the first in Germany that prints to this standard. Ralph Lokai inherited the company from his father and has transformed it into a fully green operation.
Basically, I think it's the responsibility of a company to make sure that its products don't harm the environment. We need to make a profit so that both our staff and the company can make a living. But we're not looking to make a profit at the expense of people and nature.
This means making every step of the process sustainable. The printing machines provide climate control for the building, which uses a water recirculation system. The machines are also CO2 neutral, and the paper and printing colours both carry cradle-to-cradle certification. Making the change from a conventional printing house to a sustainable one was an easy decision for Lokai.
It's not fundamentally much more expensive, but you do need to be willing to reorganize things. Of course, when you rethink production, a lot of things need to be completely overhauled. You need a whole new approach.
This is a challenge facing the entire printing industry. More than half of the paper thrown out worldwide ends up in landfills, and more paper is produced every year. Paper can take up to 20 years to break down, and that process releases CO2 and methane into the atmosphere. Alcohol and other chemicals from the printing process also seep from the paper into the environment. Catapult magazine founder Benjamin Friedrich began printing on a different sort of paper to save trees.
This is the magazine issue where we changed over from normal paper to recycled paper. Here I calculated how many trees were felled with normal paper and on the back with recycled paper. If publishers would simply switch from normal paper to recycled paper, it would be a huge step. It would be so much less damaging to the environment.
It's a viable solution for big publishers. The switch is simple, and Catapult says it costs them less than 1% more to use recycled paper. And if people opted for the same high standards as Astrid Butzin, completely sustainable printed products could become as common as wild plants.
Our next report takes us to Senegal. Many of the country's 15 million inhabitants live beside the Atlantic Ocean, where the sea level rise caused by climate change is making the existing problem of coastal erosion worse. 4 decades ago, a forest was planted in the northwest of the country to combat the problem of shoreline retreat.
That is right, Niote, and it changed the lives of farmers and fishermen there. But now, population growth and other factors are putting a strain on the forest. Local communities are now working together in order to maintain or even improve the forest's health.
A bountiful harvest of aubergine or eggplant, that's not something that farmer Ousmane Sow takes for granted. He's one of over 20,000 farmers living in the Niayes region of northwestern Senegal. Many live close to the coast and so potentially face the threat of erosion and sandstorms. But a belt of trees is helping to protect them. Almost 200 kilometers long, it's 500 meters wide at its narrowest point. The forest was planted 40 years ago as a shield against wind and coastal erosion.
Right here where we are now was once nothing but white sand. Niayes is known for its living dunes. Before these trees were planted, the dunes would move with the wind and cause erosion. They covered marshland basins and hindered the producers' agricultural activities. They made it impossible for the farmers to settle here.
Today, 60% of Senegal's vegetable production comes from the Niayes region. An estimated 225,000 tons are produced here annually. It has become the country's food basket, and it was the pine trees that allowed farmers like Ousmane Sow to create their fields.
It was only after the trees were planted that we were able to live and work the land here. At first, we could only put up temporary shelters because the sand knocked down everything in its path. Thanks to the pine trees, the sand is stable, and because of that, we have a fertile forest, and we've built homes and can cultivate vegetables.
It's a delicate balance, though. The farmers need the trees for protection, but the growing population means the demand for timber for fuel and for building furniture is also growing. The solution? The forest has been divided up into some 200 plots managed by different agricultural and forestry groups. Each group decides which trees can be felled according to strict quotas. Saplings are planted to replace any trees that are chopped down. This nursery delivers saplings to farmers all over the coast.
As you can see, it's because of the abundance of pine trees that we have fertile land. Maintaining the forest is central to the work of our association. In order to do that, we have to plant and replenish trees. It's crucial to sustainable development.
The young trees are watered in their plastic sheaths to ensure they absorb as much moisture as possible. Then the plastic is cut away to let the tree take root. Over 50,000 trees are planted each year, and hopefully they'll also protect future generations of farmers from encroaching sand and rising sea levels.
It is good to be reminded that looking after the environment can really pay off. that is all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us. It is a goodbye from me, Sandra Twinobdio, here in Kampala. Until next time, see you soon. Bye, Niota.
Bye for now, Sandra. It was a pleasure co-hosting the show with you and to our viewers out there. Remember, you can find out more about environmental protection and sustainability on our social media platforms. But for now, I'm Neo Taigbe signing off from Abuja, Nigeria. See you again.